Hey, everyone. Thanks for joining today. My name is Brown. I'm the Executive Director of National Municipal Stormwater Alliance. And the only speaker today, just giving a quick kind of midday webinar on some updates on the National Municipal Stormwater Alliance, or NMSA. As our STEPP program, there's been a lot of be there to provide information on this, as well as share information about members, not too. But we're providing one PDH here because we're covering a lot of action from the national active on stormwater, just some updates and whatnot too. There's typically a PDF with these slides that I can upload, but they've changed the system here, so I can wait that. If I do, then I'll let you know. Otherwise, if anyone wants the slides, I can email them to you. Also, you'll be receiving a certificate in a day or so for PDHs. This is recorded, so this will be put as well on our YouTube. So if you have any issues with technology, please put it in the chat. I'm just myself. If I see something, I'll address it. If you have a technical question you want to have answered, them in the question. Otherwise, I'm just going to roll through some information, do a report out, maybe 45 minutes, maybe an hour. Try to not go through that long, but leave some time questions. But please provide questions anytime. Not upset me anyway if I perform. I think, in fact, I would appreciate questions come in. So I'm just going to get rolling and talk about what I'll be talking first. I do want to cover the background and other associated information about, as well as the STEM. So you may know about it right now, but we'll talk about it. Then I'll talk about going out to the national, some updates. I'm in the area that's part of my job, leading NMSA to kind of keep the pulse of what's going on the national stormwater, and share what I've heard, what the updates are, that perspective as well. And they'll also provide some thoughts about the value of stormwater management, some kind of takeaways that also ties going on level, some current have come up. But one thing to think about is as we go, stormwater management forming, how are we doing? That's a theme we're looking at in our organization. That's something we need about in our sector overall. And I'm talking, how are we doing at this level? What are we doing at the program level? What are we doing at the level? Try to hit all we go along. But before we get to that, I'll just give some, again, information background on NMSA. We are a 501(c)(3) that was established in 2018. We were actually established in 2016, but we got 501(c)(3) approval in 2018. So we've been around for about 8 years or so. We're because rather than a station, because we are a coalition of organizations, boards, organizations, stable organizations, these firms that are interested and have stake in the stormwater sector. So we have members that represent organizations, just our individual organizations. Our motivation for information is pretty. I'm not going to do the list, but we're trying to basically catalyze the administration sector. We're relatively young to other sectors. We're relatively disorganized and disparate, which is on us. It's just the way and nature of our kind of fragmented and less mature sector. But we need to bring that together, be more united, speak with as close to a united voice as we can, and be more proactive rather than reactive when policies come up. Again, we want to be at the table more so. And our vision is very simple. We want to help provide clean water just like many other organizations. We want to do our part on the stormwater side to help contribute to that overall goal to provide clean water to the nation. Our action areas are listed here. Our main mission, our mission is to support MS4s, to help them as effective and cost effective as they can be. So that means we're trying to generate tool templates, things like that, resources, and we're trying to do that as much as we can to make everything as available as possible to MS4. Especially, we know most MS4s are small in size, have limited resources. We want to meet MS4s where they are. It's really our mission here. We want to focus on communication and messaging because we want to raise awareness. Again, we're young. We need to get the word out on stormwater challenges, issues related to stormwater management that often gets buried, frankly, in the larger infrastructure, not just water infrastructure, but larger infrastructure discussions. We want to raise awareness on how stormwater is impacted and how it impacts communities. As a 501(c)(3), education is core to what we provide. So we have training materials, we have a training platform, and trying to do things like this, disseminate information to the sector, to our members. And lastly, I'm in the DC area. Part of what we do is engage at the DC level with Congress, as well as EPA and other regulatory agencies. So those are areas, just some background. So some of the product, services, initiatives, and activities. First, I want to talk about membership a little bit. We started with 5 states. So the states that are member states currently are the states that are in blue there. Hawaii is as well, just for the color of that one. We started with states, now 20 states. That means that we have a state organization in each of those states in the blue there. So we have if you take all the fours in these works of the state organizations, we have about 4,400 of the total 500 plus or minus MS4s across the country. So in our larger network, we have over half the regulated universe for MS4s, but not all of those are members directly. So, but MS4s can become members, which that's starting to happen. We hope to grow in that area quite a bit. We also have, we have state organization members, we have MS4s that join, we have affiliate members, which again are consultants, law firms, other nonprofits, whatever. And we also have a program I think is unique and I take pride in, which is our emeritus member program. And that's for those who stormwater professionals who are retired or recently retired or semi-retired who still want to, they have a lot of institutional knowledge. They want to remain active. And this is inspired by my father, who's 90 years old and he still works 3 days a week, and it gives him something to do and also gives him purpose. And so he's got a lot of investment in his field. And I think there's a lot of folks in our stormwater field that are retiring and want to remain active on their own terms. So this doesn't cost anything. If someone wants to join, they can just, there's information on our membership page. So if you use a QR code or go to that link, you can find out about membership and all these aspects. I'll go for a little bit more. It's just the subset of our members. So we data organization members. This is, again, the subset of our total. But these are the types of organizations that under our membership. We've got members who are the STEPP program. I'll talk about that. And affiliate members, again, we've got consultants, law firms, technologists, others. Right next to FIS4s that are our direct members. You see there's all the stars across the screen there. We've got pockets in different areas. We've got pockets that are missing. We want to fill that in, obviously. But if you're interested in joining, please consider that. It's really what we're trying to do is to get more and more community to be part of our organization. You go to our membership page, you can get information. And the scale, the cost is, I think, is reasonable, low. And it varies by the permit type and whatnot. We're going to be changing this a little bit to be based upon population served, but obviously there's a lot of alignment between permit type and population served. But anyway, all that information is available, and you can click on all that there. If there's any questions that you're having, let me know. I should also note, and you're not going to go to the cost. You can see the cost there and what you get. It's all there, what the benefits are. And for right now, we're also forced to join for free. That's not going to be the case forever. Join for free, we'll have to pay at some point. Once we change running this on. But just so everyone knows, there is an opportunity to get involved. We're growing. We want to get more involved. We're trying to grow more offerings as well. And our most active program is the STEPP program. So I want to take some time to talk about STEPP. We are STEPP stands for Stormwater Testing and Evaluation for Products and Practices. The goal of the STEPP program is to provide a national, multi-state testing and evaluation program for stormwater. Basically, as you can see at the bottom, we want to be and we are in many ways currently, consumer reports for stormwater. That's really the takeaway or the elevator pitch line. We and it's products and practices deliberately because we're talking about proprietary as well as public domain practices. We're focused on proprietary products now just because that's the universe that is the low-hanging fruit list as far as the greatest need. But there's definitely room to grow on the public domain side. That's where our vision is as well. So we're talking about ponds and bioretention facilities, and how those are done and how those are evaluated and verified may not be exactly the same as stormwater products, but has yet to be realized. But the vision is that we have better understanding of the level of performance and the confidence that we have on performance for all stormwater infrastructure, regardless if it's proprietary products or if it's public domain practices, because it's a value proposition. If we're asking the public to spend money in investing on our programs and our infrastructure, we're talking about across the country, municipal stormwater programs have a total budget of about $20 billion annually. It's a lot of money, and that means we need to have some confidence in what putting in the ground, and we'll be able to tell the public, look, your dollars are going towards meeting a goal, and providing a level of service that we understand. Right now, we have a limited confidence in a lot of our product practices, and a lot of it's just because that's the nature of stormwater itself is chaotic. It's tougher to do than other. It's not as engineered as wastewater, as an example. So clearly, it's harder to get your arms wrapped around. But so this program, just to be clear about what we do and what we don't do, STEPP has been set up to develop performance testing standards. We do that through ASTM E64 Committee on Stormwater Control Measures. That's That's a committee that was set up about 5 or 6 years ago. It's relatively new. We and other organizations worked to get this set up. We've got about 120 professionals on that right now. We'd love to get more. It's for $15. You need to have more from the public specifically or from academia, whatever it is, because there's limitations on ship related to if you've got too many industries. Right now we're industry heavy. We need others, and we're getting there. We've got EPAs part of it. We do have state regulators. We do have folks in the public sector. We just need to get more of them. So if you're interested, check it out. Let me know membership there for membership secretary for the group. But that's where we develop our performance testing standards. Oftentimes they come from other places. Right now we are relying on two great state programs. One is the New Jersey Corporation for Advanced Technology and NJP. They're associated testing protocols there that are lab based. We have taken those into ASTM and making them ASTM context friendly. And then for the Washington TAPE program, the Technology Assessment Protocol for EG is based and taking some aspects of that into the ASTM environment as well. Some of it's going under the STEPP program directly too. But the point is that we need to have, so what we do is we don't do this testing ourselves, they go through the ASTM program and the committee, but we have to facilitate that and try to identify those that need to be done. So that's one thing that we do. We also run and evaluate products and practices, and I'll talk about this process in a second. But we don't do the testing ourselves. We don't perform the testing. We provide oversight, we provide verification or evaluation based upon third-party observations, oversight of testing that's done independently, or it's done first-party with a third-party and independent observation. We evaluate it, and then we also provide verification documentation. This has been verified. This is the context. So that way, what we generate is specifically for the benefit of communities, regulators who want to have trusted data, rather than having data coming from different contexts that you don't know who is this reviewed. So it's like almost like peer-reviewed information, and that's really what it's about. We have a roster of 14 professionals from across the country that provide. There's 2 to 3 reviews, but usually 3 reviews per verification. These reviewers are people that are at the highest level across the country, again, in different environments, arid environments, wet environments, warm and cold environments, so that we have national coverage as far as issues are concerned with stormwater. These folks are paid for their review, not paid for the outcome of their review. They review the information that's been overseen, and then we as a program and they as professionals provide their input on if the testing has been done based upon the standard provided. So that's really what we do. And as far as the verification process itself, it's just a simplified overview of it, but basically starting with number 1, there's an application and all this information and documentation on stormwater.org, our website. You can do that, fill it, send it to us, we review it. We also ask you to develop a quality assurance project plan, which that's a plan of action. How are you going to test are you going to test your product in what standard you're going to use, what not, where are you going to use that? And at that point, there's a question about is the Minnesota and St. Anthony Falls using STEPP? Are they using it? Testing facilities and locations don't use STEPP. They're part of it. They can participate in it. And if they have the qualified personnel and the qualified equipment to be able to perform the tests, they are deemed approved to do that. So we'd have to look at for what situation, for what type of testing, which standard. But I believe that St. Anthony Falls can do testing or STEPP, but it depends on the specific type of technology. So there's a nuance there. I think they can. I don't think they have as of yet. I know we work close with Minnesota. That's my home state, so you have a lot of connections there, and we're engaged with the University of Minnesota quite a bit. So, and Erickson, who's a leader there at St. Anthony Falls, is actually the chair of the ASTM committee. So I'm sure they can do some testing. The question is what type. So it's hard to say whether I can't say carte blanche. Yes, it just depends. So if there's any specific questions on that, then I can follow up on that. But anyway, so once that plan has come in, we review it. Our external review group says yes, testing occurs, and results come out. We give that. Our review group reviews again. Well, not again, but they were the results of the test, just like to make sure they follow the standard. And then there's also public stakeholder. That's it can join stakeholder review that goes out to the world to try to get it out to many folks as possible. And anybody can review anything and provide any comment. So provide, and we look at it, the test proponent who submitted the application will look at these comments. Once those have addressed all the comments from the review team, as well as the public comments that come in, once it's all finalized, if everything has followed the testing standards as they should have, then the verification data is published. And then there's a letter that says, this has been verified following these standards, and this is the context for this technology. All that information is on stormwatertesting.org. That's our website. So once that's done, we provide proof verification. Again, that's the context. And that goes to the product, the proponent testing, the representative of the testing. And then go out and try to get approval for use, certification, whatever they want to do. This is verification only. This is not certification, just to be clear about that. Our current verification services include trash capture technologies. We have a trash standard that was developed based upon a Caltrans protocol from 2014. So that was brought in, and we made some updates to it. So we actually have multiple trash capture techniques. One are verified, and others are right now going through verification. I shouldn't say are being read. They're going evaluation, potential verification. We also provide hydrodynamic separators verification right now. We also have this college review, which if you've done and verified in a program that is the same or similar protocols and that we use, and instead of reading just following the standard, you can submit it to do a due diligence review to make sure that it's consistent with everything we're doing, but into a specific format that is easily digested, and we provide what we call a concurrent review. Right now, those are limited to DS products and technologies that have been verified and certified by NJCAT, certified by NJTE. We're doing these, so I've got a tech like that. Probably going to be reaching to you to do all at one time, so we can start basically becoming similar to the coverage that is at the NJCAT program. So the update on STEPP right now is we have 2 verifications completed and published. So we have one that concurrence that was completed and published in 2025, so last year, and we have one that's just finalized this week, uploaded to our website. You can check that out. That's a trash page. So the other one's an HES concurrence. The trash technology verification just was uploaded today or this week. There's 2 additional trash technologies being, like I said, being verified or being evaluated right now. Information about those technologies, again, so check that out. But we are very close to having performance standards for filter technologies. And that's the only thing that's missing. There's filter and HTS. Those are the 2 main technologies in New Jersey. We can concur verifications on HTS systems and hydrodynamic operators. We get for filter technologies, but we will be able to do that within a matter of months, a few months, because we need to have the testing standards completed. And those are nearly completed. We are moving forward with field-based testing, and we're working hand in glove with the Washington TAPE program and Washington Department of Ecology to understand the nuances of their program. So therefore, we can start offering that. We may be offering concurrence for that program too. That's not been established yet, but that's coming in the near future. Something that's missing from a lot of the programs is technical and saying, here's generated, here's performance data. What do I do with it? How do I use this in my program? And that's a lot of it's because these are the New Jersey program is specifically designed for New Jersey applications and in Washington states and for Washington communities as well. But there's a lot of communities, obviously, in states outside of those states are using the program. So, but these programs were intended to provide those services outside. They're being used, and they're being used because they're good programs. We are trying to provide additional. We are in the process of providing technical guidance documents so that you say, hey, how does this work for us? An example is in Minnesota, they've taken Washington TAPE data, which is obviously a different climate in Washington and Pacific West than it is in the upper Midwest. And they've done some transference to make it applicable to their conditions. Now, that might be refined in the future, but there's a way to do that. And we are looking at ways to provide support for across the whole country this way. Also, just the basics of what is performance data, what is MTFR, maximum treatment flow rate, what does that mean? How does that address sizing and things like that, that have impacts to our local program or a plan reviewer saying, hey, somebody put this technology on this plan. How do I know that I can use? How do I apply it? Those kind of things. So there's a gap there trying to provide more technical support that way. We are working, as I mentioned before, with the University of Minnesota, and that's being done through we're one of the 4 selected teams for the one grant from the EPA to establish water centers of excellence. There's 4 of those. I'll talk a little bit more about that, but we are doing work in the context of that. And some of that it's not directly about STEPP, but it's about verification related topics. Anyway, as I mentioned, go to stormwatertesting.org to learn more. And please, if you're an MS4, we need to get more and more MS4s to join. If you join NMSA, you join STEPP as well. And if you join STEPP, you join NMSA. It's all into one. The reason it's important is because we are not here. We didn't set up this program to sell technologies, whatever. We're here to provide trusted information so that better decisions can be made. And more well-informed decisions can be made by localities at a reasonable cost. And that's really what it's about. We need to add more folks to get on board. In the future, like I said, we're going to develop technicals. We're doing more of that. We want to expand the library. We're looking at different climates and contexts. We want to look at, again, getting into public domain practices. These are all starting to happen now. Even looking at different technologies, we have a street sweeping initiative that may be wrapped into STEPP eventually, maybe not. But the point is that we see that there's going to be more technologies going on. There's going to be new standards, different pollutants, emerging contaminants, and things like that. Microplastics, PPD, PFAS. We can expand as far out as the sector wants to go. Long-term performance. We don't want to just think about day one performance, but what about maintenance? What about long-term performance and performance decay over time? And even looking at things like synthetic stormwater recipes used in the lab environment that can help make, right now, the lab thing is really limits trash and to sediment or proxy sediment. And there is a lot of research, basic research that has been done for years and is continuing to be done using recipes, kind of concocted recipes in the lab environment to be, again, to synthesize or to be not a synthesize, but to be a proxy for stormwater runoff itself, so we can look at in a controlled environment how treatment occurs for different types of pollutants. We need to do more of that or consider ways to do more of that. And it drives down the cost and it drives up the ability to look at innovative technologies in a controlled environment. We know that field testing is something that is also available. So we allow both of those, but the point is that there are ways to move forward. And STEPP is already somewhat international because we have some companies from New Zealand, other places that are interested in are actually in our verification right now. So some other products and practice and things that I wanted to mention is that we're 501c, so we do have technical material and training. Well, right now we're offering what we call bulk training, which is training that would be available for an entire MS, for an entire community. Because there's training requirements for anybody who's a first responder or parks and rec, staff or others that are outside of what you consider the stormwater staff, because those folks are out in the community. And if there's, they need spill prevention training, they need to have IDDE training. These are all pretty common things that are needed by multiple or many municipal staff, not just the stormwater core staff, but others. And providing this online bulk training is a way to provide and train and track training for across an entire department, hundreds of people. So this is not just getting content. It's also actually getting a portion, getting your own LMS, your own learning management system that allows you to automate the reporting, the tracking, and you can use it to upload your own training material too as well. So it becomes your own LMS, which that's the value in of itself. We've got offerings that are just for IDE because that's so commonly required, obviously. But all these other things, and we're generating more training content all the time. So if you're interested in that, let us know. We're also offering this as an individual level 2 in the near future. So right now, but we're doing this. So we have about 16 or 18 communities that are using this right now. And when you join NMSA member and STEPP automatically, we offer our webinars like this, web-based events. We post almost all, if not all as of now, but in the future we may not, to our YouTube site. It's free to the public. So that's our YouTube channel. We have a resource that we need to promote more. It was developed in concert with EPA Region 9 called the National MS4 Online Resource. We're actually updating and expanding this through the support from EPA's Stormwater Center of Excellence funding that we're getting. But it provides basic background information on the MS4 program for those who aren't familiar with it, those who are new to that. And there's a lot of turnover, obviously, in these programs, but also if a city council member wants to learn more about it, if you're trying to explain it to them, you can send them to this website that provides the basic. There's more than basic info. That's the kernel of this. We also have an online resource library all for free, trying to build that up over time. So if you've got a report that you want to post, you can do that as long as it's not commercial and as long as it's freely available online. Those are the two stations. We have updates that happen. They should be done monthly. Sometimes it depends on how busy things get. If you want to send us a link there, we've done a lot of work on things like aquatic trash, economic evaluation, green infrastructure. Other things are also available on our site. So in this EPA Stormwater Center of Excellence, again, there are 4 were funded. There were 30 proposals that went in. So, lots of interest in this. Limited funds. It's the 4 ones with the Desert Research Institute, out of like the Nevada, Southern California area, Oklahoma University, and kind of the Great Plains Area Center for Watershed Protection for the Southeast. And then we're part of the group that's called Climate Center of Excellence. As you get there, Pacific Northwest and South, and the Mid Atlantic, there is a lot of places we're missing. So we advocate for more of these centers. That's one that we're advocating for in Congress right now. But so we hope to continue these centers. They're only funded through about next year, this time or so. So we're trying to get continued funding and expanded funding. But anyway, for the Climate Center of Excellence, this is looking at stormwater issues significant to this region. And that's again, each region is doing this, but we're also working in a coordinated fashion so that we can stay connected. We don't create these little pockets or islands of information on our. Again, so this is actually by the New Hampshire Stormwater Center, University of Minnesota, also part of this as well as the NMSA. This is the team. If you know Jamie in the New England area, he leads the center at New Hampshire. Andy Erickson, like I mentioned before, with Sal. We have a lot of others on this team that cover all sorts of different grounds, technical, but also outreach, commissions and training and education, that kind of things. Work just to give you some idea of the kind of stuff that's going on. Looking at a lot of salt is that cut on the coastal areas, right? So, trying how to manage it, how do you minimize road salt. Prices of programs, within municipal programs, and also what are the impacts of road salt on things like bioretention, which are often in the transportation right of way. We're also doing something called rapid response research, which is using our technical advisory committee, representatives across those cold climate states, and asking and doing some outreach through them, through their background and their network to understand what is needed at the local level. In terms of what do MS4s at the local level, what are they looking for in terms of research? And we're going to have a listening session on this specific topic at StormCon. So if you're going to StormCon, please join us. Anybody can join us on that. You can look forward to the program. Because we need to know, we need to be responsive to, as researchers, we need to respond to what's needed at the local level. So that's the stuff we're working on. A little bit more update time going on. A couple other things that we're working on, just again, a quick update of what we're working on. We are developing a new green infrastructure maintenance, inspection and maintenance training. There's a lot of these in the country. What's unique about this, and this is from the state of New Jersey, being funded by the New Jersey Economic Development Agency's Green Workforce Program. What's different about this is that it's not just about green workforce development, but it's specifically targeted to returning citizens, or you might think of them as reentry programs. So there are a number of these types of training programs for various schools across the country. One example, firefighters in California, the training program. So this is similar to that. We're just starting this out, and we'll be sharing more information on this, but it's led by Hugo New, which is a corporation in New Jersey that has a lot of environmental focus areas. There's training being done on green infrastructure. There's also training done on providing electricians for EVs charging stations, as an example. So that's a whole program that's being supported this. So that's other that we're providing, but just wanted to share dates what's going on. We had our 10th annual National Policy Forum in April 13th. This is something, obviously, we've done for 10 years in a row, working with our partner, Water Environment Federation, as well as the National League of Cities, National Association of Counties, who hosted this for the last 3 or 4 years. It's a one-day event that brings together folks on the Hill, so Congress members or staff, folks from EPA, other state or other federal regulatory programs, NOAA, USGS, who have our Stormwater World. Bring them together, and we have discussions. We need to attend, so we're trying to get more and more folks to join us here in DC to do that, to attend that. Also, you can join online. We had a few technical glitches this year, but typically you can join online, and that's free as well. So we're going to continue to do that. And but it's part of that we do in congressional engagement. I'll talk a little bit about that in a second. Another thing that we're doing for this year in 2026 is November 16th is National Stormwater Day. This is a recognition of what we all do. The work that stormwater professionals do across the country. Also, it highlights stormwater awareness programs. So there's many states or cities got a stormwater awareness week or day, month, or whatever. We bring the information to make that available. Others urge us to have our own stormwater awareness event in their jurisdiction. And so that's Stormwater Day. You can get information. We also have our own logos and pamphlets and other things that you can use for that. We're just trying to, again, raise awareness. We always recognize a stormwater champion. This year it's going to be Larry Schaffner, who long-time champion from he was in the county, Washington. Before that, he was with Washington DOT for many years. And Larry was a great mentor to many people in Washington, in that region. And he passed away this past year, so we want to recognize his contributions. And so we'll have that recognition, and we do this every year. So we're continuing to do that. A webinar that's always free available, talking about these issues, and recognize folks like Larry. So We partner with StormCon. This is for the fourth year. This StormCon is going to be in Minneapolis from the 25th to the 27th. I've got showing you what we're involved with. We rule or lead one track of content and whatnot. So we've got meetings on August 25th. We've got sessions all day on the 26th. We also have two listening sessions, one on research for stormwater programs, MS4s, and we also have a listening session on street sweeping. And notice that it says 11:30 to 12:30 to 1 p.m. So sorry about that. Anyway, so if you want to go, you can you get 25% off registration if you use the promo code Brown25. So it's not about 1995 or not about 2025. It's about 25% off. So if you use that code, you can get 25% off going to this entire. Other things that we're involved with are National Stormwater Leadership Coalition. We're this in connection with our co-leading this American River to bring the environmental NGO in together with the municipal and technical. We're all about stormwater. We've developed a series of work groups looking at things like data and research, as well as regulations, regulatory policy, as well as funding and financing policy, as well as community and programmatic needs. These work groups are working over the summer, and by next year at this time, we're going to have a report out of an actionable national policy agenda on stormwater, areas of agreement between the environmental NGO community as well as the municipal community. Again, we're getting this kicked off right now. We've got funding from the national groups like the Cox Family Foundation as well as the Mott Foundation that are providing support for this. Another initiative to mention is our Clean Streets for Equal Waters initiative. This is focusing on street sweeping. We're just wrapping this up right now, and our first phase for this, the exploration phase. And we're hoping to continue this and by celebrating it and doing more in this online this initiative at StormCon this year, as well as an event that's called the Sweeper Summit, which is going to be in San Antonio, November 3rd and 4th this year. For the San Antonio area region, join us for that. We're going to have stormwater-related content, workshop, panel, whatnot, related to the kind of the nexus between sweeping and stormwater, and really focusing on regulatory crediting, connecting research to that regulatory credit, which we do in order to get some more consistency on sweeping, and also just evolving sweeping programs to optimize them. There's a lot of technology that's out there that can be used and that is being used. We're trying to support more of that. So if you want to learn more about that, you can go to the URL that's provided there. And the last thing I want to mention is we've got a policy. We've identified 9 different areas in the MS4, the National MSA program, that we think can be improved and should be improved. And the MS4 program has not been changed in 35 years since it's been around. Learned a lot more since then. We've learned a lot, good and bad, programmatically, as well as scientifically, technically. And with that in mind, we have, like I said, 9 different proposals here. You can go to our website, this portal here. You can provide your input. Do you agree? Do you disagree? We're looking for all this input. You can do it anonymously, so don't feel like you have any pressure that you have to provide your information. Not at all. But we're just trying to get information from the localities, and we're using this information to meet with EPA and say, hey, here's some ideas and ways to improve the program. So issues on stormwater. WEF had doing national surveys, assessments of MS4s since 2018, 2020. They've used their information on the 2024 survey, and it's consistent on the funding needs, again, the funding that we have, which is between 20 and 30 to $35 billion collectively across the country. Also, the additional funds that have been identified to be $7.4 billion. So that's in the ballpark. What we're seeing here is, or $7.3 billion, which is in the ballpark of what we're seeing. So these numbers are consistent that we're seeing, which gives us more confidence in these values. We have fundings identified in the Clean Watershed Needs Survey. This is something that's supposed to be done, I think, 4 years now. It had been 10 years between 2022 and 2012. And in that interim, there was it's led by EPA asking us what the needs for these different areas are. Berkeley, stormwater has been underrepresented. A lot of work's been done, a lot of groups to change that, ourselves and others. And we saw an increase of identified needs over a 20-year period of $115 billion, which is a nearly 400% increase from the last survey that was in 2012. So, which identified $23.8 billion. So this is important because recognizes the federal level funding needs of water, and it should trend. And this is going to be updated over time. So this is something that we support. Ask you guys to get involved when we're doing outreach, and others do outreach on this. Other thing about in the sector too on funding is a lot of us on the state revolving fund or the SRF, and that's great. However, for us, we've identified that less than 2% of all assistance for the 25, 30 year duration of this program, less than 2% has actually gone to stormwater programs. But yet, identified in the water survey is the total needs in the clean water sector, wastewater, and PDH, and all those type of issues. Of all those needs, stormwater comprises 18%. So we have an order of magnitude that we're not getting. So we receive 1.8% from SRF. We have 18% of the total needs. So clearly there's some challenges there. There's some legal barriers, there's some institutional barriers. There's a lot that we're trying to get engaged here to try to understand if we can make some changes there and advocate for some changes to get more SRF dollars. But this is a loan program. What we really need are grants too. And the most promising one is the Overflow and Stormwater Reuse Grant Municipal Program. We just call the OSG. That's what it's commonly known as, which are grants that go across the country. This is something that was part of the infrastructure bill in the Biden administration, which had its massive investment in water and stormwater included. But this got authorized. It could be funded up to $280 million annually, but it's only been authorized up to about $4 million. So much less that's actually been invested in than the total limit. There's a work done by Inspector General, or AG, showed that 18% of these funds were not even used in the first couple of years of this program. That's because states, it allocates funds by the states. Some states got such little funding that it wasn't even worth going through the administrative hassle of trying to administer these funds. That's a problem. So that's something that we're trying to correct and indicate for more investment overall. And this is a great tool, and we hope that we're going to see a great deal for federal funding. We want to see more of it happening. Also, the allocation formula favors a lot of CSO community states, as well as kind of wet weather as opposed to air. We think and there's a lot of reasons for that. I'll be happy to answer any questions on it, but we're trying to get to be more equitable. And on the legislative side, again, when we prepare for Stormwater Policy Forum, working with one of our federations, a great partner, develop what's called Ask, which is a brief 2 to 4 little leaflet pamphlet that provides very bulleted, concise information, so that when you go to Congress, that's what it's really made for. Go to Congress and you can meet with your congressional representatives and say, this is exactly what we're asking for Congress to do. And identify funding, less ways to change the policies related to funding to make it easier to actually get funding with the local support. There's technical assistance that's being provided and offered by EPA, but a lot of it is more geared towards drinking water, wastewater, and less towards stormwater. We want to change that. And again, we were looking at ways to modernize and improve MS4 program and permits overall. So we use that as an organization to go to meet with the Senate, various appropriations committees on the House and Senate side, as well as Public Works Committee on the side, and the House Infrastructure or TI Water Resources to add for them. We need if you get involved. So please look at this future as an opportunity to be a leader in our sector. Other things that we're involved with, and as far as legislation, basically we're just trying to get more reauthorization of the funding that came through in these Infrastructure and Jobs Act funding program that funded the Centers of Excellence, OSG program, as I mentioned. These are things that need to be reauthorized. And there's a lot of other things that are going on that if there's any interest on any specific topics, I'd be happy to talk about. But those are really, and I will identify PFAS, passive receiver, or what's called the passive receiver coalition. That just means that it can that by having PFAS that's generated by others, it gets into the MS4 systems, right, and gets discharged. We are held liable due to CERC laws or super law, which is for the PFAS. It's part of that program. We can be into third-party lawsuits, so that's commonly done. But we didn't generate any of these. We are just a passive receiver. So there's legislation that's trying to provide third-party coverage or coverage against third-party loss for wastewater facilities, drinking water facilities, and now stormwater programs and facilities as well. So that's an example of the things that track. On the regulatory policy side, there's rulemakings that are waiting to come out. The construction general permit is supposed to come out any time. While that only impacts directly only a handful of states and tribal lands, it influences the construction general permits for states. It's kind of a signaling of what EPA is looking for. So that's supposed to come out at any time with some provisions that we're trying to understand. Are there's going to be, for instance, tracking or monitoring of PFAS, as an example? We don't know. We have to see what's going to come out of that. Waters of the U.S. is supposed to be coming out any time. We asked for and advocated for exemptions for stormwater infrastructure specifically, which was part of a previous Waters of the U.S. Definition, was not part of the recent one or the most recent one. Even though we advocated for it, and we're hoping that it's involved or integrated into this definition Water quality trading, they were told it was supposed to be coming out in the last administration, never did. It might be coming out in this administration, so this would be rulemaking specifically on water quality trading. If it'll happen as well. Some of that EP is currently interested in is things like the water reuse, and something that the first Trump administration did was the Water Reuse Action Plan. So now they're doing this again, 2.0. We were involved with the Stormwater and Use. Hope to be involved with this go around as well. We were invited to a meeting that included EPA administrators. You can see that picture there, and they're just kicking this off. So we hope to be involved with that and advocate again to have stormwater included in that conversation. Looking at the crystal ball and the leadership for EPA on the Office of Water is coming from Jessica. She's known as Jessica Kramer. So the assistant administrator of the AA for the Office of Water is the top political person for an EPA on water issues. She's got a background. She's from Wisconsin. She was involved with the Trump 1.0, and she also worked in Congress as the EPW, Environment Public Works Committee as well, focusing on water infrastructure and issues in infrastructure. Most recently, she was with Florida and working as the deputy secretary for regulatory programs at Florida DEP. The reason that's important because Florida has recently implemented or released and is enacting comprehensive stormwater regulations that are performance-based in many ways. She was behind a lot of that. So she knows stormwater very well. It's something that she's highly interested in. We actually have a meeting with her coming up at the end of this month to talk about our interests. And she's been coming to us, to support us, which is helpful, and it's welcome. We work a lot with EPA staff, head staff, and we meet with them quarterly. We have regular engagement. So I have this as EPA leadership. We have a meeting set up right now. They support some of our events, our policy, for instance, and some of our webinars, as well as our something that we do so that we can kind of pulse things. I mentioned our policy programs, probably I'm not going to mention again, but some other things to track here. Again, this is the new MS4 survey. It's interesting to see that the top challenges and investment drivers are the aging infrastructure, less flooding workforce. This is something that some of this new, some of it we're starting to see, especially aging infrastructure, which is interesting because as we age as a sector, our infrastructure is aging. It's an interesting pattern that we're seeing. There's a lot more information whenever that's released by. We will try to share that information when it's officially released the whole itself. Some other outcomes of this survey is looking at resilience planning at the local level. Most communities are still not prepared for resilience as they'd like to be. Most do not have updated design standards, as we've seen in the past. There's a little, but not a whole lot. And a lot of it, there's just not consistency in design standards. We're still waiting for Atlas 15 to be released from NOAA. That includes climate change projections. A lot of it's related to at the local level. The lack of resilience planning is just a lack of, and I think also probably a lack of leadership and tools. So interesting that resilience is such a big topic right now. So the value of stormwater to kind of wrap this all up. The first question is how are we doing? And there's information we could look at. This one snapshot here is again going back to the website. One question that's been asked since 2020. So we've got 2020, 2022, and 2024. Ask the question: can the federal MS4 program meet the clean water goals in the long term? Is this going to get us where we need to go? And we can see that roughly a third have said yes, and the rest have said no or unsure. So this shows you that there's a lack of confidence that we're going to get places. So there's some head scratching too as a sector where this kind of confessed is or potentially leaves us vulnerable. I think it's kind of comes through this situation, which is there was an op-ed or an opinion editorial piece that was published in the Washington Post in February of this year that said, it was phrased as building a house. This little known rule could cost you thousands. Stormwater regulations are driving up the cost of homes across the country. And that same author of this op-ed also wrote a report from the Manhattan Institute that was taught the next day called The High Cost of Stormwater Regulations. So, and then a month and a half later, there was an executive order that was signed on housing costs, talking about removing regulatory barriers to affordable construction, and the top item, stormwater regulations. So clearly, we're not hairs of this topic, and they added again that these stormwater regulations are increasing housing development costs, residential development costs, construction and post-construction. Stormwater requirements should be relaxed because they're driving up, because that needs to lead to more affordable housing and residential development. I'll just say this, that, we looked closely at this, and there's a lot of questionable research for this. So it's not just what do we believe, it's the foundation of this information has been questionable. We feel. Get into that. We actually submitted a rebuttal letter along with American Rivers about this, saying that actually stormwater is not a significant part of these housing and residential development cost increases over years. There's other things, and I'll talk about that. Also, this is seen as an investment. Folks will want in water. They all want safe, reliable housing that doesn't flood. And so reducing and eliminating these stormwater management programs and investments is significant. There's also additional benefits that aren't really realized as they could be. So just some information, I'm not going to go through, but there's a lot of information that shows that it's actually the cost of materials. The tariffs have driven up, especially with Canada, timber material costs, and labor shortages because of the immigration policies. And this is not our opinion. This is, if you look at a political article that said South Texas will not be read again because the cost of labor is increasing because they can't find folks to help build housing in this. And this is coming from the Republican side of things. So this is not an ideological thing on our part. This is what's being discussed with this Republican party. So stormwater is a small part of increases. And the cost of no or inadequate stormwater management has been documented by ASCE, American Society of Civil Engineers, for a long time, looking at cost to impacts of like erosion in stream corridors that impact wastewater and power infrastructure that could up to billions of dollars annually if you can scale up their study areas and look at that broadly. In addition, studies shown that the cost of just highways themselves could be over $1 billion due to erosion and other impacts unmanaged. ASCE actually did a great job. They released a policy brief on this topic. You should not read that yourself, but basically making the case that, again, if you roll back these regulations, it's going to be some impact, and it's going to cost a lot of money. We're going to lose a lot of the momentum that we've gained in the last 30, 40, they cut about 40 to 50 years. And they identify that, is what we're doing perfect? No. But that doesn't mean you should rather be out with bathwater. We should look for ways to improve our regulations and our programs, not just throughout. So, stormwater, we've left ourselves open to this question because we have not done a good job, or as good, on identifying the return on investment. We need to sell our services and our investments and our infrastructure to the communities, because the community and the public really, at the end of the day, pays for this. So where do we go from now? We have to improve our messaging. We have to focus on ROI, business kind of bottom line messaging, and really focus on what will we be missing? What's the cost of not having this, right? As well as the benefits of stormwater. So this is something that we need to do. We actually set up a portal, again, similar to what we did with our MS4 improvement portal. If you see this at a local level and you want to provide input on, this is a big deal in our locality, our state, our region, whatever you want to do, these are the questions that we're asking for. And again, anonymously provide information into this portal that we've set up. And you can use a QR code or that URL as well. So love to hear from the ground level what's going on. So just to wrap, we're seeing, we're seeing folk on NMS4, as you can see, we're seeing this at the national level. There's a lot going on in the policy world. It didn't even get to legal because we don't have time. We see that funding needs are significant. It's becoming clear. We're trying to advocate for more recognition of that. And we do see that there's some lack of confidence on the direction headed in stormwater, and we can see that specifically and from local programs. Basically said we're not going to get there the way that we're headed right now. We do have uncertainty on practices and performances. That's why we set up our STEPP program, and that's growing right now. But the bottom line is we need to quantify the value of stormwater, and we need to message better, all of us. That's something that we're going to be focusing on as an organization. So if you want to join us, you join STEPP, you join STEPP, you join NANA. There's information here. Again, that's our QR for our member page. All the benefits all the stuff that's listed here is also listed on that website, so I won't dwell on that. So, and that's all we have. So it's right at 2 o'clock, as we said, we need to go in less time. So I don't see any other questions that have come. We will wrap this up and say thank you for joining today. We'll more of these throughout the year and in there as well. So we'll provide updates. Thanks again for your time.